Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. So it's really cool to finally be able to see like super good. I'm like,
Right,
oh, this is
right.
how the rest of the world sees. Uh, at the same time, though, I will say that. So I just paid for the whole thing up front, and one of the things I've been kind of noticing is I'm like, yo, I'm about to go back to doing payment plans for stuff, and not just being like I'm gonna just buy it all at one time just because I have the money in my account, but just be like, nope, let me be
Right.
smarter with my money and still take advantage of the payment plans, so that way, because it's better to have all of my money now and
Mm-hmm.
just give them little sprinkles than just hand them, thousands of dollars. It's like I don't know. So I don't know. Just kind of a little,
Right.
little bit sidebar, a little bit of sidebar. So I've never actually said your name before, and I realized that. I know we like texted before, like on some cool stuff and talk about different things in
Right.
the CHH space. But
That's
it's
actually my
pronounced
dad's name.
June?
That's his name. Yeah. No, it's Janae. Yeah, Janae. Yeah.
Janae. Okay. And you know what? Now I do remember you actually did tell me
Mm-hmm.
that before. You did say that before. Janae. Oh, oh, that's kind of cool. Is it Janae? Is it from
Right.
your dad's name,
Exactly.
like June, Janae?
Yep.
That's cool. I like that. That's that's cool. I like that. I'm happy that's not like
Uh-uh.
a ghetto version. Like some people be doing some
Right,
weird
right.
stuff with names.
Like top Ramanika.
Yeah. It be all type of
Right.
stuff. All type of stuff. So, man, uh, so I keep telling you this all the
Thank
time, but
you.
congratulations again. So happy for you. Uh, so I guess just a kind of quick synopsis about about us. Like her and I have known each other on social media for many, many years. She has a really great like platform in terms of teaching theology, just teaching the Word of God and addressing apologetics or addressing certain questions within the faith. That's something I've always admired about her. I thought was really dope. One, encouraging believers in general to be more concerned about scripture, but also just being an example as a young Black woman who's very concerned with like knowing scripture, not just on a surface level, but in a way that one allows her to get closer to God, but two allows her to be able to communicate certain answers to people, or communicate
Right.
answers to certain questions she'll get from people. That's something I've always admired about you. Always thought was like super dope. You've always seemed to be like a very kind of low key person, even though
Yeah.
you're very like gifted, and you don't hide your gifts at all. But it's like it's a really interesting to balance being used, but also still being like low key and not trying to
Right.
like
Right.
do like the most.
Mm-hmm. No, I
If that makes
agree.
sense. Yeah. Yeah, no. So that's something I've always admired about you. And so yeah, so fast forward, I got in tech, start flapping my gums about being in tech, start talking about the industry, whatever. And at some point, probably through like you seeing me and maybe you doing research and seeing other people talk about the industry, you had made a decision to say, hey, you know what? I actually want to go ahead and take this leap as well. So I'll stop there and allow you just to really just tell your story as to what happened, maybe a little bit before that, you know, and you kind of
Okay,
go
yeah,
on.
so it's funny that you said, "Oh, I probably saw you and some other people." It was like, "No, no, it's just you." It was just you.
Hey, look, try to be, I try to be like, I don't know what
Right.
all people saw.
Yeah, so what's funny, if I do pick up there, what's funny is that I was actually like, I was seeing, your posts and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm used to you posting more like ministry related stuff or like spoken word or something. And so, anyways, when you were posting that, I was actually interested for a friend because a friend of mine, he's a dude, and with the stuff I saw you posting, I was like, this looked like some dude stuff. Like, like this looked like this looks like
Some
something
dude
that,
stuff.
he might be able to do because, he was kind of struggling financially. And I was just like, I'm gonna just, maybe introduce him to what this is about. But I knew, like, in order for me to communicate that, I'm gonna need to understand it for myself. And so when I had hit you up about it and you told me about course careers, I was like, okay, well, yeah, let me go ahead and like do the free course. Like, let me start just doing some research so that, I already knew you were credible. It was just a matter of me being able to communicate it to a friend of mine. So anyway, it's just funny
Yeah.
because I start looking into it for myself for them, and I was like, hold up, I'm about to do this. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
this is man, like it blew my mind. So, anyways, yeah, I guess I don't know how much detail you want me to get into as far as like the progression of that, but that's when I had made the decision, and that was back in June, 2021. So, yeah.
All right, so just I mean, honestly, it's whatever, I guess,
Hmm.
however much you feel comfortable with sharing, whatever, like, and whatever you feel like, hey, it's
Yeah.
like worth sharing with people. Just out of curiosity, really quickly. So since you've done it, we'll kind of backtrack and kind of go over the rest of your story. But since you've done the boot
Right.
camp and now you're working in tech, did your
No,
friends ever do the boot camp?
no, not at
That's
all.
crazy.
Yeah.
Do they know that
Yeah,
you're
they
in
do.
tech
And I
now?
told them that was the reason why I started looking into it in the first place. But they're actually doing something that's they found their way. So they're solid right now. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
good.
that's all that matters.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's all that matters at the end of the day, you know. So yeah, the whole reason I talk about this stuff so much isn't because I think this is the only thing to do or the only thing that matters to do. It's like obviously there's a lot of great things to do. There are a lot of ways to
Right.
make great money, but this is just a way that I realize most of us don't know about. And even those of us who kind of know or knew about it, we always thought these different
Hmm.
cliches, like whether we think, oh, in order to be in that industry,
Right.
you have to be super technical or you have to know
Right.
how to program, or it is a lot of these industries are marketed as more like
Hmm.
male type of jobs or more of like a male career, whether if we're even going to be like use like ethnicities, like usually white males or Asian
Exactly.
or Indian. uh and so that's why I think many times our community just doesn't like look at it because we're like, oh yeah, that's not really for us, type of thing. So that's super cool. You know what's so dope? I love how like your heart was to, even before you fully understood everything about the industry, your heart was still just looking to serve
Hmm.
someone else and help someone else, and then kind of like in turn, God blessed you as you were striving to be a
For
blessing,
real.
for someone else. So I think that's
Yeah.
super. That's super lit. All right,
Hmm.
bet. So you looked into it. At what point in time did you actually? 'Cause I know we had communicated like very like lightly regarding it, and of course all of it is a blur now. But at what point did you actually do the boot
So
camp?
I made the decision to actually like pay for the course, and that was on June 2nd of 2021. So last year. So yeah, that was June 2nd. Um,
Mhm.
I finished on July 6th, but yeah, yeah, June 2nd, that's when I started. So
Okay, cool. And then what was, I guess, what was your experience like with
right.
the boot camp? Because again, I didn't do course careers. I did the other boot camp. And so I've liked everyone's testimonies about their experience with the boot camp. I knew it was a solid boot
Hmm.
camp. That's why I started talking about it, because I saw I got to meet Troy, like actually meet him in person. We got together and I was like, oh, he's super dope. And I got to see a lot of the
Right.
testimonials. And so I was like, okay, this makes sense to talk about it. I used to talk about a different tech sales boot camp, but they paid a lot in terms of like affiliate
Mm-hmm.
kickbacks or whatever. Like they were paying $1,500, but they were an income shared agreement program, and I just was not a fan of that because of course when you're talking income shared agreement, people were going to end up paying like $30,000
Mm.
over 2 or 3
Okay.
years. So once I found course careers, I stopped. I dropped the other boot camp because I was like, yeah, and I would get way more if I recommend this other boot camp. But it's like I don't want to see people understanding that the majority of people that are end up doing these boot camps are going to be people of color, usually like low to low middle class income, and I was like, I don't want to shackle people to
Exactly.
debt for like
Exactly.
4 years. It's like the whole goal is to help liberate people financially, not give them a form of liberation that they're really not going
Exactly.
to feel until 4 years later. So I dropped that boot camp and started talking about course careers. But I've been loving hearing the
Hmm.
testimonials, people DMing me, telling me like how it went for them. But what was your experience like?
Yeah, so
Yeah, with the
So, I
boot
mean, it
camp.
was good. I feel like a lot of people, say this all the time, like the fact that it was self-paced, um, I think was probably the best part because, it's like when you're trying to make a transition like this, it's like, you know, people got kids, people are in school, they're doing different things. Like they have their current job, you know.
Yeah.
So the fact that I was able to, you know, focus on the course and like when I had the time to and fit it into like, you know, the time slots of my life, like fit it into my schedule, was huge for me. Um, but and it made it realistic and doable, you know, because if it was something I had to commit to at a certain time, like how
Yeah.
my life was set up, I probably wouldn't have been able to like actually execute. But but yeah, it was good. Like the videos were clear. Um, all of the teachings, like learning the material, especially for me, it was like I, I'm coming from a mental health background, you know, like I got my master's in clinical
Yeah.
psychology and doing marriage and family therapy. So it's like the verbiage, the just the culture, everything was different. I was like, okay, like I
Yeah.
didn't know anything. So I mean, I guess I could say I'm a living proof that the course really prepares you for landing a position because I didn't know anything going into that, you know? And so they did a really good job. And I think I liked the fact that, um, you know, like they didn't just give you education, you know, like it wasn't just information about like the material. It's like once you got further in the course and it came time for like getting your resume set up, you know, getting your LinkedIn. I didn't even know really what LinkedIn was, just being real. I was like, business
Yeah.
social
Yeah.
media, like what is that? Like I got Instagram, I got YouTube, I got Facebook,
Yeah.
I'm straight. Like that's all I need. You know, but it's like, oh, okay. So
Yeah.
them walking you through just like LinkedIn and like your resume and like getting you prepared for like the interview practice. And I mean, I think that was a really solid course. Like, it's like, yeah, I was trusting the fact that you recommended it, but it literally like backed itself up just from my experience. You know what I mean? Like it was really good. So,
That's lit. That's real good to hear. One of the things that I like about it is it seems to be just getting
yeah.
better with time because people that I've met who've recently done it, they've been
Yep.
talking about updates that they've been making, and I'm always getting
Yep.
emails from Troy with like updates that he's doing with the program, and I always appreciate those emails and just seeing different courses he's adding to it. Right now, as far as I know, I think the only other course that they have right now aside from tech sales is IT, and I typically don't encourage people to do that because I know starting out, they're probably going to just get a job where they might be making like 40,
Mm,
maybe 50,000. So I try to encourage people not to do that one. But at the same time, I'm going to look into it further because it might be an opportunity for people to get into
mm.
cybersecurity. Because if they go from IT, and I'm not, so
Like
excuse me
what?
if I'm saying a bunch of stuff and you're kind of like, all right, man, hold up. You talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. But anyway, long story short, I'm going to look into it further to see if it's an opportunity for people that might actually be worth
Yeah.
talking about. Because at the end of the day, it's like want to help people
Right.
get something that's going to set them up pretty good, and that's really the goal. So super cool. So you finished the boot camp. So you said you did it June 2nd
Yes.
through July
Hmm.
6th. Okay, cool. All right, dope. So you did that. So you finished it. How long after the boot camp did it take you before you started or before you got your offer
Okay, so
letter?
I feel like
Either
I'm a
one.
terrible example of this because I feel like usually like what people like to hear and talk about is like, oh, like right after I finished the course, you know, it's like I landed a position super quick. And it's like that could have happened, but after I finished the course, I was chilling. I was in Texas.
Yeah, yeah, because I
Oh,
remember you did take a break or something like that. Yeah, I remember because I think like 2 or 3 months went by, and I was like, "Wait, Janae did the boot camp," and I was like, "Well, how come she ain't say nothing?" And usually I'm just kind of like I don't say nothing to nobody, but like I really like I want to see everyone in this industry, but like if it's someone I know,
right,
I'm like, no, I
right.
really want to like see you in this industry. So I hit you up, and I was like, "Yo, are you in tech yet?" And you're like, nah, I
Yep.
kind of been chilling a little bit. So,
Yeah, no, because I
yeah,
was
but my
in
bad. Go
Texas.
ahead.
I was in Texas kind of like on a summer vacation because, you know, everybody know I am from California, Southern, you know. But I was in Texas for the summer. So I was like, okay, I finished the course. If I start interviewing and I land a position, that means I'm gonna start working. But I'm still out here in Texas on vacation. So I said, I'm not about to start interviewing with companies right now because I'm on vacation. So anyways, I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay out here, and then when it comes time for me to like, start to prepare to go back to California, that's when I'm gonna start like taking it serious. Like, I knew I had already had the knowledge and the information, so and honestly, it wasn't even like a loss because I was using that time to practice interviewing, like by myself, either with my voice recordings on my phone or in the mirror. Like all the months or the couple months that were passing, like I was practicing, I was listening, I was literally still within course career, still logged in, listening through. I think I went through the course at least 3 times, like just listening when I would go to bed at night, just
Yeah,
voice recording myself, answering interview questions. Like I was doing that even though I was on vacation.
yeah,
So, so yes, started the
yeah.
course June 2nd, finished July 6th, and then I started interviewing in no, early to mid October. And then so July, August, September, October. So I took like 3 months kind of off. Yeah, kind of just chilling. So
Dang.
don't count those 3 months because when I started interviewing in October, I landed a position at the end of October. My first day was on November 1st at a tech company.
Dang. So first off, I love it. I personally like that story because, like I always tell people, ask me, people hit me up like, "Hey, how long will it take me to get a job if
Mm.
I do this boot camp or if I do another boot camp?" And typically, I tell people, "I don't know. I'm not God." I'll say, "Hey, look, I know people. I know several people who got jobs before they even
Right,
finished the boot camp. I know some people where it took them 2 weeks, a month, 2 months,
right.
3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Like that's what I've seen all of those different variables. So I don't really think like yours isn't necessarily a good example. I think if anything, it's a unique example
Yeah,
that still has a lot of value to it. Because again, it's a different example, a
right.
different story of, hey, yeah, I took this break, but even during the break, I still was making sure that I was keeping myself up to par. So that once I jumped out there and once I'm ready, you know, like clearly, like it took you a month
Right.
before you
And I'm not gonna
started.
lie, what's funny, I never told nobody this. What's funny is I'm thankful. That's why I said it wasn't a loss, like the time I took off, because when I finished the course, I thought about it. There was a part in the course where I was like, you have to like talk to Troy on the phone and like do some
Yeah,
interview practicing, or he was just gonna ask you like a question or two about like the material you learned in the course. And I was like, okay, well, let me just do this step just to kind of see where I'm at. When I say I probably sounded like I didn't know what the heck I was talking about. Like I couldn't really answer nothing clear. Like, and I was just like, I was like, oh, did my thing freeze? Hello? Is it froze?
uh, you did freeze. You know that was the that was the cleanest freeze I ever saw because it froze with you doing
Oh,
like
was
like a really cool smile. Like when it froze, you know, usually it freezes. People be looking retarded whenever it freezes, like something be
That's
wrong.
funny. But yeah, so
Yeah,
I was on the phone, with Troy, and he asked me a few questions or whatever, and I was like, trying to answer it like clear and like concise. And I felt like I was just kind of rambling. I was like, yeah, I'm not ready anyway. I'm glad I'm on vacation and I got time to like take my time, go through the material. So I didn't feel pressured about it. I was just like, okay, it is what it is. I'm gonna enjoy my vacation, slowly familiarize myself with the material and until I feel super confident, and then yeah, I came back to Cali and interview with like probably 2 or 3 companies. And yeah, well, the third one was the one I landed.
yeah.
So yeah.
That's super dope. I'm here for that. I'm here for that. Yeah, I completely forgotten about that. I was like, yo, what's going on with her? Like, like straight up. But that's good. So the company, and you don't have to share the company name. The reason why I'm not a huge fan of like asking people to share their company name on live is because many times, many people, most people who aren't in tech are unaware as to how many companies there are, and especially with like all the news talking about layoffs and hiring freezes, so it's making people think that there's
Okay.
basically like only 15 companies. And so many times if like we share a company,
Right,
it'll be like
right.
100 people will go and apply, and I've seen people put down, like whether someone that was on live with me or even myself, then put someone down as a reference when they aren't
Mm,
really a reference. It was just
yeah,
like, oh, I
yeah.
saw them on live, but I'm gonna put their name down and say they referred me. And so generally, I just like telling people, hey, y'all, look, the
Right.
industry's super huge. I mean, at the end of the day, people can see your
Right,
LinkedIn.
right,
If they really
right.
want to dig, it's like they can see your LinkedIn type of thing. But yeah, so, but the company that you that hired you, did they start? Are you a SDR BDR or an
No,
account
SDR
executive?
BDR, even though we actually they call us creator development representatives, so we're really CDRs, but that's just what they call it. uh
Yeah, it's so many names. I don't know why tech companies be trying to be original with a name. It's like, bro, it's the same job. Like, stop trying to give it a
yeah,
cute
no,
name.
it's only because of the product. So even if I don't say the company, it's like as far as the product is concerned, it's like we literally
Yeah.
provide technology to content creators, to influencers, YouTubers, like so we're creator
Oh,
development representatives, but
yeah.
it's SDR BDR, same thing. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hold
Right.
on now. I might
I'm
have
like,
to
you kind of my target market. I'm like, I might have to.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, hold up, man. I'm like, I'm not even, man. Look, I'm not even. You know what's funny? It's like quick tangent. So I'm hiring right now. I've been interviewing a lot of different people to. So I just accepted a role as a CMO, a chief marketing officer for
Wow.
a tech startup. So I'm no longer a
Wow.
sales engineer.
Congrats.
But I also, yeah, thank you. I'm super excited. Super excited. And it's wild. Literally 3 or 4 months ago, I was telling people how I was like, yo, you can actually get in this industry. And if you play your cards right, there are ways you can scale to an executive level role, you know, or a chief level role or a C-suite role in tech. And so now I'm like, dang, I'm an executive now of a tech company, which is really wild. But anyway, so I've been interviewing virtual assistants to kind of work with me as a part of my marketing team. But I've also been interviewing virtual assistants for my podcast to help with that. And what's really funny is like I crack a joke about tech companies trying to give roles these interesting, unique names. But I was catching myself doing that. I was like, okay, I don't want to call them a customer service representative. I'm gonna call them a customer service leader.
Okay.
Make it feel like something.
Oh man, I feel it. That sounds good though.
Yeah, thank y'all for the congrats.
It sounds good.
Oh, it sounds nice. Sound real nice. Yeah, but anyway, so apart from that, so you got on at this company. Sounds like it's a really dope product. Really dope. And that's actually really cool because sometimes like the money is nice in this industry, the benefits and the perks and stuff are nice, but sometimes people could be at a company where the product is, I'm not gonna say the product is boring. I would just say that the product is something where it's like there's no real correlation. It's kind of like, wait, what do we do? What is our product? You know what? Okay, whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and do these cold calls and cold emails, and I'm gonna try to explain it. But that's actually a product that would sound like pretty cool to market or to, you know,
Yeah,
to
no,
talk to people
I
about.
love it. Like I've been saying this over and over on like my LinkedIn, my Facebook. Like I'll be like, I finally have a job where I love the product. I love the job. You know, like I've never said that in my life.
Yeah.
Like being honest, like I actually love the job because I'm like, I'm a content creator. I'm like, and we're literally working with content creators. Like, you know, like you still got to learn like the logistics of everything, but you know, as far as just like the product and just overall, I'm like, I love it, you know. So that's actually advice that I've been giving to different people is like, you know, don't just look at the money only. It's like look at the money, you know, but don't look at the money only, you know, as far as um when you're interviewing with companies, like actually look for a company that's selling a product that you actually can see yourself talking about and thinking about on a daily basis, and something, you know, a company that's selling a product where you feel like it's making an impact, like where you feel like you are impacting people's lives, like it's something you actually like and can relate to, like if you can, like sometimes you can and you just got to sacrifice, like it's about the money, you got to pay bills, like, but if you can if you can.
Yeah, if you can, definitely if you can. Yeah, I generally what I recommend, and what I recommend isn't law or anything like that, but generally what I recommend to people is if someone really needs money, it's like, okay, if you're not really in the best financial place and you really need money, just focus on just getting a job. Even if you have to apply to a mass group of different companies, focus on getting a job. And if you can get a job, like you mentioned, if you can get a job where it's like you actually are excited about the product, that's amazing. But just getting a job is good. And then while you're at that job, maybe after 3 or 4 months, starting to look around and be more specific, be more bougie about the company you want to be in.
Exactly.
I want to be in this company that does this thing. But if someone can get that, if they can have like a testimony like yours, because that was one of the questions people pre-submitted today, is people are always asking, hey, like, are you passionate about being a sales engineer, or are you passionate about working in tech? And generally, I tell people, well, I enjoy the money that I make and what I'm able to do with the money. That's able to, whether I'm able to take more trips, or I'm able to give to more people. Because even the virtual assistants, I'm only hiring 2 for the podcast. And most of the ones I've interviewed, it's pretty heartbreaking because most of them live in third world countries. And so interviewing some of them, it's like really heartbreaking, realizing like how poor a lot of them are. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm only hiring 2, but I'm going to surprise all of them with like just a donation, like just a donation of love. All of the ones that I interviewed that I don't hire, I'm just going to give them money just as like a show of love and thanking them for interviewing. And for them, it'll be a really, really, really significant amount of money. And so, but it's like, man, praise God, being able to be in an industry where, making really great money to where we're able to do things like that. Whether we're able to invest in a business or we're able to give to certain initiatives or certain ministries, or, just help people out and just do dope things. So it's pretty cool.
No, I love that.
No, but that's dope that you're at a company that has a product you enjoy. So apart from that, so took you a month after you actually got out there to get something. What are some of the and there's always, we talk about this a lot, but there's always new people that come to the live that they don't know. So if you could share some of the perks or benefits that your company offered you, specifically perks and benefits that are a little unique to the tech industry, maybe perks and benefits you're not used to getting at other companies you work at.
Yeah, so I don't know if this would be unique across tech companies.
You are breaking up. You're breaking up a bit.
How about now? Am I good?
You're still breaking up a little bit. Maybe try to turn your Wi-Fi off and see if it works better without the Wi-Fi. I don't know what your signal is like, so maybe I'm tripping. But
all right, how's that? Is that better? That's better?
It seems to be better. Yeah, it seems to be better.
My Wi-Fi off. Okay. So yeah, no, I was saying like, I don't know if this is gonna be like different across tech companies, but as far as like companies that I've worked for, like I said, I was in the mental health field and I've done other jobs as well. Something that's different I've never experienced before is like, well, for one, remote period. I've never worked from home before in my life. So
all right, so yeah, I forgot to ask you that.
yeah,
So your role is remote.
So yeah, yeah, a lot of my coworkers are like on the East Coast, or in like Ireland or Hawaii, like we're everywhere. So, and so yeah, like I would say fully remote. I would say the office reimbursement. Like I literally these AirPods, I paid for them. I took a picture of my receipt, sent it to my manager, and he was like, okay, we're going to cover that because I need these for making phone calls. Because when we doing cold calls, I was sitting here on my laptop and I'm calling people while I'm leaning in, like, hello, like talking, through my laptop speaker. And I was just like, I can't do this. And I probably wasn't even going to use the office reimbursement because I'm not even used to it. But I was like, okay, they offer this. Like, let me just get familiar with this space and actually take advantage of the benefits that they're offering. So but yeah, like
so essentially your company, so you bought the AirPods and your company reimbursed you for the
Exactly.
AirPods, for you buying the AirPods.
But it has to be
Okay,
something that
that's
you
dope.
need for the company. Like I need these for cold calls. Like
Yeah,
like
yeah. It can just be like, I doubt getting an
right,
Apple Watch. They'd be like, yeah,
right.
yeah,
No,
we'll reimburse you for an
like
Apple
what you need that
Watch.
for? You don't need that. You you be an extra. But yeah, so office reimbursement, I
Yeah.
would say the unlimited PTO. Um yeah, I'm not used to that at all, but it's
Ooh,
nice.
I don't think I've only been at one company that had unlimited PTO. I guess this is gonna sound weird, but can you explain to people what unlimited PTO is? Because again, most people are
Right.
like, "What is even that?" Because again, that's such a
Right.
foreign
Yeah, no, it was
concept.
to me as well. So basically unlimited PTO. So PTO meaning paid time off. I'm sure everybody's already familiar with that, but so basically it's unlimited, meaning whenever you need time off, as long as and then depending on how far in advance your job wants to know. For my job, they need 1 week. So as long as you let your job know within a week that you want to be off, then you will be paid for that time off. And so it can be for honestly for anything, like whether it's because you need to pick your kids up or one of your kids are sick, or maybe you have a doctor's appointment, or honestly, it doesn't even really matter the reason. You just kind of put it in. And I feel like the only time you might run into a problem, which I haven't experienced this at all, but maybe if you're not like performing well, but you sitting here trying to ask for PTO, maybe your manager might deny it. I mean, I don't know. But if you're getting your work done and you're just doing your thing, like it's like, okay, yeah, paid time off, especially for holidays. Like my manager, they're always encouraging you, like when Thanksgiving, not Thanksgiving, yeah, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, when all that was coming up, they were constantly in all the team meetings, like, okay, what they wanted to go through on Zoom, window by window. So what time did you put in for? How much time did you put in for PTO? Well, okay, cool. What did you put in? Like, what did you put in? And they're like encouraging you, like, don't forget to put in your PTO. Don't forget to put in your PTO. Like, they don't make you feel guilty. You know, jobs will make you feel guilty for even needing a day off to go to the doctor. Like, well, bring a doctor's note. Like, okay. So, yeah, it's nice.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's dope. So my first company didn't
Okay.
have unlimited PTO, but it felt like we did because whenever I wanted time off, it was like I was able to get it off. Like my father passed, and my father
Oh, I
passed,
didn't know.
and I had just started in tech, and when I was in the middle of working, and I actually just kind of
Yeah.
I just broke down crying in the middle of like I was doing this thing, and then the person who was over the training, it was a training thing that was going on. They told my manager, and they were like, "Yo, Cyrus needs a couple of days off." And I didn't ask for days off. They hit me up. My manager came on the thing, was like, "Yo,
Mhm.
Cyrus, you need like a couple of days off." And I was like, "No, I'm fine." I just kind of had to get that out because in my head, I'm
Right,
like, "Nah,
right.
player, I just got this job. Y'all ain't about to play me." And he was like, "Nah, dude, I'm not letting you work. You need to take
Right.
a few days off at least." And then his manager called me on like a video chat, and he said, "No," he said, "Cyrus, actually take
Mm-hmm.
off as much time as you want." He said you let us know when you're
Mm.
ready to come back. He says, don't worry about your pay. He said you're gonna be getting paid the
Right.
whole time. He says take off as much time as you need. He said just hit us up when you
Yep.
think you're about ready to come back. And so I took off. It was Thursday, so I took off Thursday and Friday. Monday, I hit them up and I said, "Hey, I'm ready to come back." And they told me, they were like, "Yo," they're like, "You really don't, like, you're fine. If you want to take a couple weeks, if you want to take the rest of the month,
Mm-hmm.
like you're totally good." And so that was just, I ended up going back into work that week, but that was
Right.
just
Yeah.
eye opening to me. And then I have like a couple, I have a homeboy who he literally he got his job, was only at his job for about 3 or 4 weeks.
Mm.
He was at HubSpot. They
Ooh.
let him take 2 months off,
Hey.
and he was getting paid the whole time. And it wasn't
Right.
even like an emergency thing. It was just, what happened was that it was his first time making money. He got literally, no, he wasn't even there for a month. He got his first check, his first check. And he told them, "Look, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I'm about to go to another state to see my sister. I've not seen my
Wow.
sister in 7 years." And then they told him, they said, "Okay, cool." They said, "Well, take as much time as you need." He was like, what does that mean? They said literally as much time as you need. And it was about, at the time, it was like late November. They said, actually, they said, take the rest of the year at least. They said, hit us up next year and let us know like when you're ready to come back. And he literally was gone. For those of y'all who know, it was E-Man. I might be slightly butchering the story, but E-Man might even be here in the chat. I saw him pop up in here earlier. Y'all can ask him for clarity. But he took like 2 months off and then came back to work sometime in January, like late January or something like that. And just,
that's crazy.
It was just nothing. And so, and I mean, the list goes on and on. But I've heard some different testimonials and stories that are pretty cool. But that's dope that you have unlimited PTO, that you specifically have unlimited PTO and not like a version of unlimited PTO. That's dope.
Yes, it's nice.
So with you being SDR, I'm sorry, not SDR. It's called a creative, what do they call it specifically for y'all?
Development representative, so CDR.
Creator Development Representative, SDR. Okay, cool. So with that, one of the things most people I found are hesitant about, the only divide that I see with most people that are kind of hesitant is that most people are like, oh, I don't want to do sales stuff. I don't want my pay to be determined by me selling things. And usually I tell people that there's like a split. It's like, yo, usually your base pay is usually significantly high, and your OTE is like you get some other money as well. That's like commission. That's really good also. You don't have to share exactly how much you make if you're not comfortable with doing that. Again, share whatever you want to share. But in terms of your base pay to your OTE, like how is your income structure set up?
Math. But what I can say is it's I think it would be like I think it would be 70-30. I think. So I think it's I think you get paid 70% and then 30 is like the OTE. But one thing I love about, the company I work for is that they had us on like a ramp up period. So basically like when you first start, your quota, so that you hit your quota is like real achievable. Like they made it so easy, for like your first month. And then your second month, they kind of made it a little more. And then your third month, they made it a little more. So that as you're learning and getting familiar with the product and like getting into the routine of things, like it's easy to hit your quota, so they make it possible to where it's still a challenge. Like I literally hit my quota on November 30th, the last day of November when I first was working. And I was like, I'm glad I did, because that check was very nice in December. Right before Christmas. So I was so glad I hit it. But yeah, I would say it's like a 70-30. And so as far as what you were saying about like people that feel like, oh, I don't want to have to actually sell and, make a sale in order to get paid. It's like, well, if it wasn't salary, if it was commission only, then I would feel that. Like there's no way I'm working a job where it's just commission, where I'm busting my butt and I could not get a dime. Like, no, I'm not doing that. So,
So your base is 70, and of course you're trying to do the math in your head, but that sounds pretty spot on, because most tech sales roles, the base is either 60-40 or it's 70-30. I generally tell people to avoid it. Like if the pay is like 50-50, sometimes I've seen it 50-50. And for people that are entry level, I always tell people like, don't do a job if they're doing 50-50. Even like, and that might be good. Like base pay might be 50,000, OTE and commission might be 100,000. But I generally tell people not to do that and try to go for a 60-40 or a 70-30. But as you get promoted and as you move up, especially once you get to a place where, let's say your base is like 200,000, that's where usually the percentage starts to drop to where it'll go to like a 60-40, then a 50-50, and like a 40-60, where your base is 40-60. But it's like your base is 200,000 or $250,000, and then your OTE is 600,000, 700,000. It's like You know, and at that point, you're so experienced, like you're very senior. You understand the role. You're dealing with larger companies. You know, it's like
Hmm.
it's pretty dope. So yeah, so I'm super excited about you being in this industry. In comparison to what you were doing before, like how much of a change was it for you, like
Oh,
financially?
yeah, definitely a big change. Also because when I was doing marriage and family therapy, I never made it to where I was licensed. I didn't. I told myself I don't want to be. I was like, I'm not about to be licensed because I already knew I didn't want to do this, you know? So I,
Mm, I didn't even know that. I guess made you what made you get to a point to realizing you didn't want to get licensed and continue
um,
doing that?
to be honest, it was a lot of therapists experience burnout, you know, and of course there's a lot of therapists that are killing it. So I'm not going to say like everybody is like me, but they experience burnout because it's like, you know, you came into the mental health field to be a clinician. You want to, meet with clients and to solve their problems. You love people, and it's like, but all of the paperwork and the documentation and like talking about percentage, it's probably like 90% paperwork, 10% clients. Like it's a lot.
Ooh,
It's a lot.
oh no.
So, um, I don't know. Like I was really turned off by that, especially because I don't know. I'm just not that person. I didn't like it. So, but what I did love is like connecting with people and going on their journeys and like being like a little detective and investigator, like trying to figure out their problems and like put everything together and find a solution, which is exactly why I was able to transfer that over to tech because that's exactly what an SDR and BDR does. So, um,
Yeah.
so yeah, and with this job, it's like, um, I don't know, like I get to talk to people a lot. Like I tell my manager, like, can you send me? I want to do only cold calls. Like when I'm looking for, I just want to do cold calls. Like yes, I send emails, but I really love getting on the phone and talking to people. Like I enjoy that.
Yo, you have to explain this because like of course everyone that I know that's like in a, SDR or BDR type of role, most people that I know, like they actually are like, yeah, this isn't as bad as I thought it was gonna
Yeah.
be or how people made it seem. Most people that I know say like their company isn't really stressing them out or like on their back, like real heavy about it. But I'm not gonna lie, you're the first person I've ever heard say that they prefer the cold calling
Yeah.
over the cold
Yeah. And for
emails.
me, it's because I am a teacher. I mean, it's like from apologetics to like from the young adult ministries that I've had, it's like I love communicating, like especially like I have a passion to make complicated things simple, like a complex concept or idea, make it simple, especially like when I really understand it. And there's only so much you can say in an email, And in the email, it might, it's like
That's
imagine trying to
true.
explain to someone like if you went on a date for the first time with someone you thought was amazing and you got to send it in a text message how the date went. It's like, yeah, that you
Yeah.
can, but it's like it's way more exciting to share it when you're actually talking and communicating with somebody. So that's how I feel. And because I'm actually passionate about the product, I'm like, I love getting on the phone and talking to people about it, seeing like, oh, how many subscribers do you have? What's your content? Like, what's all these questions? Like, cool. Like, okay, well, this is what we can offer.
Yeah.
This is what we do. Like, I mean, that's not what I really be saying, but it's like for the most part, I love those conversations. So yeah.
That's super dope. I love to hear that. So I guess so of course you're at a specific company. You've been in this industry now
3 months.
for it's
Three,
what is it,
three
two
months.
months now? Or yeah, okay, 3 months. But I guess what would you say? Because one of the questions that someone sent in earlier is about you know, they asked the question about how to become comfortable with doing cold calling. How do I become comfortable in an SDR role? Because it's a little
Okay.
intimidating to me. So I already had an answer for it, but I would love for you to
Um,
share your answer. Yo, for everybody who is listening and you're thinking that you're interested in a career in tech sales, I suggest you check out Course Careers.
Course Careers is a tech boot camp that you can do entirely from home. It's entirely virtual and it's self-paced. So that means you can knock it out in as early as 2 weeks or even take a few months if you need to. Now, the really cool thing about Course Careers is that they're actually partnered with multiple tech companies that are hiring their students right after finishing the program. The great thing about Course Careers is that with those partnerships, they're able to guarantee you jobs with some of their partner companies. Now, beyond that alone, the other cool thing we want to tell you about them is that Course Careers is actually only $500. That's it, nothing more, nothing less. But since we partner with Course Careers, they're offering our audience a discount of $50 off that already low price. So make sure you use our discount link that we have below, so that way you can take advantage of that $50 off that already low price. Do Course Careers at your own pace and let us know what job you end up getting from it.
I would say for sure, like I know like a having a script is real cliche. And that's probably what your job's gonna give you anyway. Like they'll probably like help you to formulate like a script. But of course you want to deviate from it. But I would say to make it your own. Like don't be fake. Don't try to turn into like putting on your good voice. I mean, yeah, talk articulate, like, enunciate, but be yourself, and like make what it is you have to say, like make it your own, and but also I would say like, I'm not saying just, oh, make it your own and just hop on a phone and just start talking. It's like, no, if you make sure that you understand like the product, like, because that's with anything. If you have a good grasp of something and you understand something, it's going to show in your confidence. It's going to show in how you communicate. So if you really do understand the product, then I would say to either write out a script or look at a script and actually, like, I would say try to memorize it, because also coming from, I would say, two spoken word artists, two poets,
Yeah.
it's like when you know your stuff, like, and you have something memorized, you'll be more comfortable and you can even deviate from it. Like there's times where I didn't have a poem memorized, and I swear I looked like a robot up there just talking, saying it verbatim, word for word, because I was low key so afraid I'm gonna mess up and like whatever. But it's like when you know it, you can start pointing to the crowd, you can start like relaxing, you could take a sip of water in between like a sentence, like it's like you're just kind of chilling with it. So same thing, like know the product and rehearse. It's like rehearsal, like I definitely do that, or I was doing that with, when I first started. Like I would have the script and I would just act like I was on the phone, and I would just make sure I was communicating it clearly. And then of course you're always going to get hit with stuff that you don't know. So I would say even that, I mean, that kind of goes into apologetics. It's like objections. Like when you hear something, like create objections beforehand, like so that you can know how to respond. And if you don't know, then just be like, oh, yeah. My manager always told us he was like, always use this if you need to. Be like, yes. So I actually only been working here for like 2 months, but my colleague would actually be the perfect person to answer that question for you. So I'm actually going to write that down and I'm going to give it to them so that they can, like, it's okay to say you don't know, it's okay to mess up. I would say like relax, have a peace of mind. Like cold calling can be like scary, but I would say as long as you do the best you can in order to like know the product and like just do the best you can, like, and if you really took the time to research and to study and to know what you're talking about, then be okay with how that comes out, knowing that you're going to get better, knowing that your manager and they're looking at you like it's okay. Like they're not expecting you to be like a professional when you first get there. So I think it's honestly like more scary than when you actually like get into it. Like it's not that bad.
So I want to kind of backtrack, and because before you got in tech, before you even started applying, there started to be conversations about layoffs and hiring freezes. Like some major tech companies had already done like mass layoffs. Those things had already started. So, but you got something within like a month of you doing, within a month of you starting to actually apply and jump out there. I'm curious, like, what was your experience like with applying to companies, with interviewing? Like, were you interviewing with a lot of different companies, or, like, I guess, what was it looking like with your experience while you were out there?
So I didn't interview with a lot of companies actually. So Um, well, for one, I got a lot of no's. I was filling out like early October. I was filling out a lot of applications on LinkedIn, and it was literally every day. It was just like, hey, sorry, but we looked at your resume. You're not what we're looking for. You're not a good fit for what we're looking for.
Unfortunately, we
Exactly. Yep.
decided to go with another
Exactly.
candidate who's more qualified.
And I was just like, all right, like, okay. I mean, you got to have that mentality, like, in it, because what's funny is, had I gotten hired with one of those companies, I would not be so excited about the company I'm at now. And so yeah, I got a lot of no's, but at the same time, yeah, I got some yeses, and I interviewed with two or three. I think it was two or three companies before no, two companies, and the third company was the one that I landed. Um, and I was really glad because even the two companies I interviewed with, it just seemed real complicated. Like the product seemed real complicated, and I was like, okay, well, the money looks nice, like, but I don't know about this product, like, so yeah.
No, that's funny. Now that's dope though. Dang, man. So I tell you what, I think I got rejected by something like 300 companies when I first got out there.
Shoot.
I got so many because I was aggressively applying. Like I was aggressively applying, and yeah, I received so many. It's funny. There are companies I applied to like back when I first was trying to get in tech, which was 20. It was like September and
Mhm.
October 2021. I still sometimes get rejection letters from those companies from a year and a half ago because they didn't because for whatever reason they
Right,
forgot to send the
right,
rejection letter a year and a half ago. So they're emailing me now. Hey, we're sorry. Unfortunately, we're going.
right.
I'm like,
Ain't nobody worried
player, I
about
ain't
you.
worried about y'all no more.
Oh,
Hey, it's almost like you shooting your shot at somebody like a year and a half ago, and then since then you don't got married,
right,
you don't got wifed up with a person that's 10 times better. You like, hold on, man,
right,
ain't nobody worried
right,
about you. I'm good. I'm straight. I forgot about you. Like,
for
why you
real.
even hit me up at this point? Uh, but yeah, so it's beautiful. Like just like someone put it in the comments, they congratulated you
Mm.
on pushing through the nose. Yeah, it is incredibly important. Yeah, just really to push through those no's because there are so many companies out
Yeah,
here, but I think the other component was the fact that you had done so much preparation as well, even aside from the boot camp, that you continue to kind of
right.
work on things during your break. And I'm sure that allowed you to interview really well. So I love that a lot. That was kind of the case of the
Yeah.
situation for you. So you've
Hmm.
been in there for 3 months now. Uh, does your company
Yes.
have account
We call them
executives?
creator advocates.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but
All right.
yes, they're AEs basically. Yes.
Okay, that's super cool. Someone put this in the chat earlier, but I remember getting an email from Course Careers that they're actually about to start or they just recently started doing
Yeah, no,
training for account
no, they did.
executive
I
roles.
actually yeah, I think Troy partnered with I forget his name, but I actually went through all of the free course for the AE yeah, the AE
Oh,
course because I'm
that's
like thinking
dope.
about it. So I was like, let me do the whole free course, and then what's funny, I'm going back to Texas this Friday, and what I did when I got into, this role that I'm in now, I literally was like, okay, I'm about to go to Texas, and that's when I did the whole SDR course. And then I came back to California, landed the position, and so now I'm about to go back to Texas for like about a month and a half as of this Friday, and I'm thinking about should I start the AE course and do it while I'm out in Texas, and then kind of repeat the same process and come back and maybe try to get
Yeah,
so I'm thinking about it. But yes, yeah, Course Careers did start the AE course.
that I'm assuming because you love your company so much that you more than likely would want to be an account executive at your
For sure.
company and not like really
Yeah.
try to go
Yeah.
elsewhere.
I want to at least like get the
That's dope.
skills and like
I think
have that course under my belt. So even if I don't get promoted like soon, like I'm still like liking the experience of knowing what an SDR does like day to day and like, so I don't mind if I'm there, 6 months to all 2023. It's like cool. And then maybe I start my AE career in 2024. Like I'm chilling. Like it's good.
Yeah. I'm pretty confident. I mean, I don't know your company, but I know that most tech companies, most SDR, BDR type of roles get promoted. Like when people are just doing even just like a decent job, they usually get promoted to an AE somewhere between
Mm.
6 months to a year. So I'm pretty sure, with you enjoying it, with you killing it, and you're only going to be killing it more. I'm more than confident that like you'll be able to be an account executive sometime this year. But by the way,
Yeah.
you're enjoying the journey. That's really the most important thing, more than anything else. And it's like literally the beginning of the journey for you. It's gonna be so incredible. Oh my God, this is gonna be so dope. Like I'm excited for just being able to bump into you at like a tech
Yeah.
event, like some of the tech events that are happening and going on. That's gonna be pretty dope because they have a few different tech events in LA, and I mean you mentioned Texas. They've had a couple in Texas. I was just in Austin for Afrotech. Yeah, they just like have them all around. So I'm sure eventually you'll be at a
Right.
tech event. That'll be pretty cool. So what are your goals? So you're in tech now. What are some of like, I mean, you basically just touched on some of your future goals for you to potentially become an AE at some point. And I know it's very early on, but like, what are some of your other goals or ideas outside of that? Or are you just like, yo, that's just really your focus right now? And other than that, you're just gonna see what
So
comes next.
I don't know if I should say this or not because I have a plan.
Okay.
No, no, but I will.
Okay, cool.
I will. No,
If,
no,
if it's
it's not a
some
secret.
secret
It's not a
sauce,
secret because
okay.
so I've actually for the past few weeks I've been working on a tech membership site. And basically I'm probably not going to launch it for like another month or two, but yeah, it's going to be a tech membership site. But what's funny is because of the company that I work for right now, like that's our product. Like we provide influencers and content creators, with like their own fully branded membership site and apps. So you know what I mean? So that they can, that's what we do. So I know how to like
Ooh.
build little app prototypes and everything. Like it's pretty dope, like what I'm learning. So, but anyways, all that to say is I already spoke with my manager and everybody, and I was like, I want to be, I want to use our product as a content creator. So it's like I'm working for the company, but I also want to use our product on the other side, you know.
Yeah, so you'll be a customer of the
Exactly.
company that you're working for.
And yeah, and so I'm gonna use our platform in order to like launch a membership site with like it's like Netflix styled like video catalog. Like it's so dope. Like I love our product. So I can talk on and on about it. But it's like that's my plan, is to create that and to let that be like, I mean, wherever God takes it, like let that be another stream of income.
Yeah.
But it's not just about creating another stream because it's also I want the way I'm setting it up, like with the different like subscription plans and tiers, is to where every person at each level, depending on what stage they're at within like breaking into tech, it's going to be like a whole tech community where we have like a community feature in there. People can create their own profiles and interact with each other. It's like, it's a whole thing. And so it's going to have like people considering tech, people that started the tech boot camp, people who landed a position, and then or people who are trying to interview for a position, and then people who have landed a position. And so it's almost going to be like tech discipleship, like where everybody's going to be able to like help each person get
Yeah.
to the next level
Oh,
and
okay.
like coach and mentor. It's just going to be so dope. Like I have
Yeah.
everything laid out. It's just a matter of launching. And so that's my plan. Like, cause
Yeah.
this is just a blessing, and I'm like, I don't know, God gave me this
Yeah.
idea, and I'm just like, what are the odds? Like, I'm working for a company where I can use the product. I know the product well, and I can create content and help people break into tech through this membership site so they're not alone and they have community. Like, it's just gonna be amazing.
Yes.
So that's my plan.
Yeah. God definitely orchestrated this. Now, He obviously orchestrated all of it, and even though I didn't know what you were gonna do, I personally didn't care much if you just wanted to just work a job in tech, all of that. It's just I know for a fact, it's like, yo, you're a dope person. Like you have, like you have a heart that's like pointing towards God and pointing towards helping people. So it's like that's why I get so excited seeing people like you get into this industry. Because again, I want to see everyone doing well, whether or not they're in tech. or if they want to get in tech. I want to see people doing well, but definitely I get it hyped whenever it's people I know, and it's people that I know are talented, you know, have like, you know, hearts that are pointing in the right direction, want to help people. Because again, like, I'm only one person. I'm trying to either help people get into this industry. I want to do other cool stuff, but it's like, yo, it's dope to see other people that I also know are dope that are doing other things that are also going to be a blessing to others.
Yeah.
So I'm hyped about that. I'm excited. I definitely want to learn more about your company. But if I do become a customer of your company, I want to make sure that you get the that you get the commission for that. If I become a customer of your company,
we can set something. We'll set something.
So I guess we'll figure that out and sort that out. Yeah, definitely. That's super cool. All right, dope. So I do want to be mindful of your time. So what I would love to do is just we'll answer a few questions that people are submitting in here, and we'll probably take maybe about 10 minutes tops, 10, 15 minutes, somewhere around that time. And then I'll let you off. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story, talking about things you're going to be doing in the future, kind of opening up about that. I think that's super fire.
Can I share this too? So
go ahead.
I already started doing like consultations, like the coaching, like with Course Careers. But what I called the consultation, and what I'm actually pulling that over to call this membership site that I'm going to launch, I'm calling it Tech and See, because you know that scripture that say taste and see that the Lord is good.
Oh, taste and see.
So
Tech and See.
Tech and See,
that.
but the rest of it is fire. Check and see that this industry is good. So, you know, I got a little poetic the bars.
With the bars. You better come. Tech and See this industry is good. I love that.
Look out for that.
Yo,
that is coming.
I love that so much. Yo, I'm so here for that. I'm so here for that. I love that. Yo, like make sure you definitely, you know, get that trademarked and that you secure the .com and all that, because that's Tech and See, that's fire.
Thank you.
That is super fire. All right, so cool. Let's go ahead and get to some of these questions. See what people talking about. All right, so first question. Someone asked if you work in your current time zone, or do you work in a different time zone?
I work in my current time zone, but my manager, he said when I first got hired on, he kind of made it like flexible. He gave us the option. He was like, if you want to work in Central Time, you can work in Central Time. If you want to work, and not even just like period, like once you pick, you're locked in. It's like kind of like a week to week. If you hit him up and be like, hey, tomorrow I want to work like East Coast time, because a lot of them are in DC. We got people in Hawaii, we got people in Ireland, we got people in California. Yeah. It's like, so depending on what time you want to work, you can kind of choose that. But I mean, that's our company. I don't know if everybody does that.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna cap. That's pretty unique. Like, I'm not gonna say y'all are the only company that does that, but I'm not even gonna cap.
Oh, okay.
That's definitely the first time I've ever heard of that. That's really dope. That's super dope. So essentially, if you realize, oh, I'm gonna be doing this in a couple days, oh, I'm gonna be up really late because I'm going to this event or a wedding or something with some friends, I'm not gonna be home until 1 or 2 in the morning. Let me go ahead and tell my manager, basically, I want to work in a different time zone.
Exactly.
That will allow me basically to sleep in.
Exactly.
And then work late. That's so cool. Yeah. That's cool. I'm here for that. That's a real good perk. But yeah, to my piggyback on that is that generally whatever tech company you're at, they will be looking to hire people based on the time zone that they're in. That's why sometimes, depending on the tech company, that's why sometimes, even though you can work remote, a tech company might not be looking to hire someone that lives in like a different continent, specifically a continent that is in a different time zone, because usually they'll have clients that are in specific time zones. And if that person falls far outside of that time zone, they might not want that person as a basically like as an employee at the company. But there are companies like hers. Every tech company I've worked at, they had like around the clock time zones, meaning no matter where you lived at, you usually could work at that company. But they usually kind of specify what time zone that they're hiring for. So super good stuff. So all right, let me scroll to the next one. Someone asked, this is an interesting question. Someone asked, can a tech boot camp help you get into the entertainment industry, such as sports? That's a very interesting question.
Sure.
I could take it. I can take it if you want me to. Yeah. Just to throw out an arbitrary number or ratio, 99 times out of 100, no. Like, unless you're doing a tech job in the sports industry. So, for example, what's really popular right now in the tech industry is visual. What is it called? What is it called? Augmented reality and virtual reality, which are two different things. Virtual reality is usually you put like goggles on and you're in a new world.
Yeah.
Augmented reality is when you have something that basically puts something in the real world that's not actually there. So almost like a holographic, like a hologram. You know how they had like Tupac on stage? That would be augmented reality because no one has goggles on, but you can see a hologram of Tupac like rapping. So augmented reality brings something in the real world that's not really there. Virtual reality is putting something on that puts you in a virtual world that's not really there. That being said, that's a very popular industry right now in the sports industry, and even to your point with what you used to do, therapists are actually, that's augmented and virtual reality is starting to enter into the sports space and the different therapy spaces. For sports, they're entering into it because people are now able to put goggles on and be able to be in like a front row seat of a actual basketball game that's taking place. Wow. So in the near future, sports, like in the near future, the NBA is going to be selling front row tickets to virtually sit in the game. So you literally could sit down on your couch with your friends, put goggles on, and you will see LeBron James in front of you during a live basketball game as if you have floor seats. And same thing for the NFL. Some of them are taking it as far as to you being able to put goggles on and you can actually pay to be a player. So not that you're actually playing, but like, let's say you want to be Tom Brady, you can actually like be like, you can sit down and see everything Tom Brady is seeing from his vantage point. But they're also working on that for therapists as well. Like, so if there are any therapists where someone, they talked about if someone needs to relive a trauma so that they can overcome it, that is something where they'll be able to put like goggles on and they'll re-see their trauma or whatever traumatic event they had, and it'll allow them to step-by-step process it. I'm not really sure if that'll be a good thing to make somebody have to visually see their trauma, but who knows? But anyway, that being said, since that's happening in the sports space, you could essentially work in tech in the sports space, but it'd be regarding some type of software or hardware technology. But doing a tech boot camp, are you going to be able to become a sports agent? No. Are you going to be able to become the assistant defensive coach of a team? No, it's not going to happen at all. So it definitely would need to be somebody said Tony Stark did it. Y'all are funny. Y'all are funny. All right, so let's do this. All right, I guess we could look at some of the questions that are in the comments. I've been going to the question box, but we could look at some of the questions that are in the comments. Oh yeah, why you shouldn't accept. So I'll let you. So I'm not saying you shouldn't accept a 50-50 split, meaning base pay be 50 and then your commission be 50. I'm just saying be careful. Like, so if your base pay is, let's say your base pay is $40,000, but your commission is $40,000. That's not a bad start out pay. That's pretty decent. but I try to encourage people to go for a base pay that's like, I mean, like at least like $50,000. But usually I try to encourage people to try to push for like $60,000 base pay, 65,000, somewhere around there. But if you're a person where you're making 15 bucks an hour right now, and you get a company where your base pay is going to be 40,000 and your commission is going to be 40,000, that 50-50 split might be worth it. It's just, so again, nothing's wrong with a 50-50 split. It's just, where is your base pay at? Is your base pay $30,000, which is rare? I've never seen a base pay that low, but there are some little skimpish companies out here that will try to like play people. So it's really just about making sure you're not getting played on your money. Again, I know a lot of people out the gate trying to get $100,000, which clearly has happened. The homeboy I had on here last week, you know, he started out with over $100,000 salary. I've had a lot of people that started out with over $100,000 salary, but that's still not the norm starting point. But at the same time, I also want to encourage people to not go too low. So don't try to fight for something that's too high, but also, you know, make sure you're not getting played on your money. Yes, you're right. Someone said it depends on location and where you live too. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true to a degree. All right, cool. Do you see a question on here that you want to answer?
I have access to the, what is it? The question box?
Do you have access?
I don't see it. You mean like in the chat?
Alexa, shut up. Yeah, in the chat. Yeah, because I'm just gonna let people ask questions in the chat now. Yeah, $75,000 base. That's a really good base. That's a significantly good base. I'm sorry, the alarm went off to remind me to put these drops in my eyes.
Let me see.
Oh, all right. So someone asked, could you explain OTE?
OTE. Okay, yeah. So OTE is your on target earnings, and so it's basically another word for quota, basically. So it's like, if you hit your quota, then that is your OTE. So you get paid for hitting that. So for example, like with the company I'm at, we get paid twice a month, but if you hit your quota, then you get a third check. So you get 3 checks a month. And so the 2 checks that you get within that month are salary. You're getting those regardless of if you hit your quota or not. So let's say as an SDR or BDR, if let's say, you know, you've got to get a certain amount of bookings for your account executive. So let's say you have to get a certain amount of bookings, like you need to at least book like 10 or 15 meetings, let's just say. If your quota, your target, your on target, like if that's 10 or 15 meetings in a month and you hit that and you actually set 10 meetings by the last day of that month, then that means you hit your target. So you also get that OTE. So you don't just get salary, it's salary plus OTE. So you will get that third check. Well, the way it works for us, I don't know if it's like this with all companies, but it's almost like if you hit it, that check comes the next month. So yeah, if that makes sense.
Alexa, set an alarm for 5 minutes.
5 minutes, starting now.
Yeah, so now that's pretty similar to how it is with other companies. Now, some companies, just to kind of double down on it, some companies are a little different, where also what your OTE is could be slightly different. So there's some companies where, like, let's say like my first set company, where even I was a sales engineer, we sales engineers have OTE. The pay structure is pretty much the same, but my base pay was 72,000. My OTE was 90,000, because sales engineers, it's usually an 80-20 split or a 70-30 split. It usually doesn't go down to 60-40. I've seen 60-40 a few times. That's a little bit more rare. But as a sales engineer, my base pay was 72,000. My OTE was 90,000, but we also had uncapped commissions beyond that. So for example, it's all about, your company will give you targeted things you need to hit. Sometimes your target might not have anything to do with how much stuff are being sold. Sometimes it's something else. Like my company, again, now as a sales engineer, my OTE for me to get 90,000 was really about how many demos I was a part of. Because I could accept demos, like if account executives would say, hey, Cyrus, we need you for a demo. I could say, I ain't doing that demo. I ain't doing that demo. I ain't doing that demo. Or basically just kind of kick my feet up and chill. But if I did a certain amount of demos, whether or not the client bought it,
Right.
I was going to get $90,000. But when they actually bought it, I was getting commissions on top of that. So it depends on the company sometimes, but most companies, it is based on things being sold in order to, that's usually the metric for most companies. But some companies have like different variables as to how it goes. But that's good. Thank you for,
Yeah, no, I
for
forgot
answering
to
that.
to clarify. I mean, I feel like you kind of already just said this, but just in case I wasn't clear, like when I say that you have to like book a meeting for the account executive, like the person does not have to purchase the product if you're an SDR. Yeah.
Oh yeah, my bad. I didn't even hear that because I got up
Oh,
my
well,
eye drops.
yeah, because I didn't want people to think like, oh, so when I book the meeting, I don't know if they would think like that means the person bought the product. It's like, no, you booked the meeting with the account executive so that your coworker, who is an account executive, can meet with the prospect, the person trying to buy the product,
Yeah.
and they just hop on Zoom and they share their screen and they see a demonstration. But then and so you get credit for that. That's it. They just saw just for them showing
just
up.
for them showing up.
So it's like, but then afterwards they could be like, yeah, no, because it goes through the different stages in the pipeline, like the negotiation stage and all that stuff too. But if it does close, then like you just said, you do get commission off that. So
Also, you basically, for
right.
you, like you basically could get a double commission. You get a commission. Ooh,
Right.
that's nice. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's real nice. All right, cool. Someone said it's a usual W-2. Yeah. These are 9 to 5-ish corporate jobs. So yeah, they're W-2s. This with a lot of other benefits, really high pay, working remote, all that cool stuff. Okay, all right. Someone asked, is it difficult to get hired even with partner employers?
I can't really. I wouldn't want to speak on that just because I didn't even interview with any of the partner jobs. Because yeah, like no offense, but you know, I looked at the product and the companies and I was just like, okay, these are cool, but you know, I want to see what else is out there, you know, so I was on LinkedIn, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I love that you went that route. I typically, so most boot camps that I've recommended are boot camps that they either apply to jobs for you, or two, they have partner companies like Course Careers. But y'all, I always try to share this. Don't put your eggs in the basket of the boot camp giving you a job, or even their partner companies. Like there are so many companies out here, like there are, and I'm not exaggerating, there are well over 50,000 tech companies. It's like the sands on the sea. Alexa, be quiet. So, gotta put this other eye drop in. So that being said, don't do the boot camp and just think, okay, now I'm just gonna focus on the partner companies that this boot camp has. Do not do that at all.
Right.
Let that be complimentary.
Like
let that just be like a little something on the side. Your focus should be all of the other companies that are out here instead. That should be your focus. Yeah, I'll eventually do a video on my new role. I'll do like an official announcement on my social media about the new role in the new company I'm at. I'll probably do the announcement this week, or I'll do it next week. I'll be in Turks and Caicos next week, but I'm still gonna be doing some work stuff on social media. Super cool. So I said Cyrus got mad drip. Yeah, I got the Stranger Things drip on right now. Got the Stranger Things drip going.
said there was a question. They had a question up top. They put like the little pointed finger.
Yeah, I saw some people mentioning ChatGPT, which I'm a super huge fan of, but I'm also very afraid of it. But what was the question? You say somebody puts pointed
Yeah, I'm
fingers or
scrolling up
something?
though. I don't see it.
Thank y'all for purchasing. I saw a couple people purchase
Yeah.
badges. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Oh yeah. So a lot of people. I've been getting a lot of messages recently of people asking about felonies. I do have FAQs. If you click the link in my bio and go to my FAQs, I have, it's like 100 different questions I've answered that are like little small videos. I've addressed the felony question. There are a lot of questions here in the chat that I'm not addressing. Oh, I got surgery on my eyes today. I got LASIK, so little lasers and stuff. They cut my eyes open so I can see better. So I have to put all this stuff in my eyes. But for those, one of the questions that I'm seeing is about felony. Again, I answer that question in my FAQs, but I see a lot of people asking, so I'll go ahead and answer that. It's about customer-facing roles versus non-customer-facing roles. If you are a felon, especially if it's a certain type of felony like tax evasion, your company probably don't. No, I can't imagine a tech company caring about you having tax evasion. But domestic abuse, you know, you doing something predatory or you being accused of doing something predatory, I don't want to assume just because you're charged something you have on your record. But like, you know, like that the other type of felonies, you shooting someone, you holding someone hostage, armed robbery, things like that. Those types of felonies, most tech companies aren't going to be looking your way. Your best bet is to, especially not for tech sales, because that's a customer facing role. Your customer, your client could look you up. I've had clients look me up, and just out of curiosity, who's this dude doing the demo? They looked me up before I even did the demo for them. So if you're in a customer facing role like she is, like I was and kind of sort of am still gonna kind of be now in my new role, a company's not gonna want to hire you on because that can make them lose sales and lose deals. Their company could be boycotted. You know, people could, it could become something, y'all know social media. Things could go viral where it's like, oh, this company has this felon, you know, working for them that did this horrible thing. And that could be terrible for their investments. They could lose investors. Right. They could lose a crap ton of stuff. But if you have a non-customer facing role, like let's say you're a developer, you're never going to be in a meeting with a customer. No customer is even going to know you work at the company unless you put it in your LinkedIn. So most companies will be fine if you're a felon. But again, the type of felon you are still does matter to a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah. How soon is too soon to job hop? So there's no such thing as really too soon. I mean, if another company wants to hire you, another company wants to hire you, but you do have to think about how your LinkedIn and how your resume is going to look. So obviously I just started a new role. I don't plan on leaving this role as a CMO. I plan on staying at this company until after we IPO. And IPO basically meaning the company going public or the company being sold. I'll stay at the company then, and I might stay even a little bit after that. It'll be a really huge payday. One of the things I encourage y'all to do, a lot of the friends that I have that are in tech that are millionaires, the way they became a millionaire really fast was they got at a tech company that wasn't public yet or hadn't IPO'd yet. Usually you get like stock options with your tech company, or you're vested in the company as a part owner. And when that company goes public or gets bought, I have friends that got millions of dollars or high six-figure checks from their company getting bought. So that's a quick way to become a millionaire, you know, in tech, is being at a company. And it doesn't matter what your role is. You could be entry level at that company. You could literally be making $80,000 and you stay at that company for a year and a half, 2 years, whatever, depending on the way you have your stock options and stuff set up. You could be like my first tech company, Dialpad. If I never left Dialpad, there was Dialpad's going to go public this year. When Dialpad goes public, that money that I had vested in, even though I was only making $90,000, that would have turned into a $500,000 check I would have gotten outside of my salary. So I left. I was betting on myself. I was like, nope, I'm going to leave for this more money. But the reason why I left for more money, so it wasn't about the $157,000 why I left Dialpad. It was what I could do with that money for the podcast. I actually left for the bigger money so I could take that immediate money and pour it into the podcast. And so it really was just to reinvest it into the podcast. But definitely lost out on the opportunity for that big check I would have got from Dialpad. But now I'm at a company that's worth multi-millions of dollars, hasn't gone public yet. When it goes public, Lord willing, that should be a multi-million-dollar check that I'll get just from the company going public or the company getting bought. So there are so many ways in this industry to like become a millionaire just from working a 9-to-5. Even though we've all been told you can't become rich from working a 9-to-5. That's not true about this industry. All right, so what question I see a few different questions, but I really want to give you the floor. Like, what question do you see that you want to answer?
Somebody said they submitted questions in like the box.
I'm sorry, y'all. There are way too many questions in the box, like from questions people sent earlier and like new questions. So I encourage y'all to put the questions here, especially so she can see the questions as well. She can't see the questions that are in the box.
Okay, this person said, is the tech sales industry becoming saturated with this explosion of exposure lately? I feel like this would probably be a better question for you, Cyrus, but from what I've understood this far, I don't know like the numbers or anything like that, but just from my understanding is that there's so many tech companies out there. Like I just don't think that because of how, beneficial tech is and how popular tech, it's technology, there's every business is using it. Like there's so many tech companies. So I don't think that it would become saturated because there's so many options, but that's me just kind of speaking like just from what I've seen. But yeah, what would you say?
Yeah, no, that's a good answer. So of course, we don't know it can't be like this is the answer, this is what it is. There are a lot of variables at play, but more than likely not. The reason why is because every single month, there are hundreds or thousands of new tech companies that are created. You have to realize with 7 billion people in the world, and let's say, okay, let's chop it down and say 3 billion people are in first world countries where they have the ability to create a tech company. All of you here have the ability to create a tech company. You don't have to be rich to make a tech company. Any of you that have, y'all are going to see, we have a podcast episode dropping soon with someone talking about, literally one of our guests created a tech company. His company's already worth millions of dollars. It's worth tens of millions of dollars already. And it's a relatively new tech company. I have friends of mine that made tech companies just a year or 2 years ago. Their tech companies are already worth $100 million. Really, the main thing that it takes to start a tech company is your idea and someone who's willing to code or create that idea in terms of like software. That's all it takes to create a tech company. Once you create it and you build it up just a little bit, you can shop it around to investors. Shop it around to different investors. And there are investors everywhere. Investors are so hungry to invest in the next big thing. And the next big thing doesn't have to be Apple or it doesn't have to be Amazon. The next big thing half the time is companies y'all never even heard about that are worth hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. So there are tens of thousands of investors with a whole bunch of money waiting to give their money to a good idea. You could take your idea and someone that knows how to code, put it together. You're the CEO, they're the CTO, Chief Technology Officer. Now you have a tech business, a tech company. You get an investor or multiple investors, angel investors, whatever. They give you hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions of dollars for your idea. Now you take that money, you use that money to staff your company, to get a tech sales team, to get other engineers to make the product. Basically, I'm saying all this to say like how simple it is to create a tech company. So that's why every single month there are thousands, tens of thousands, sometimes new tech companies popping up with money to hire people. Then you have to keep in mind with all the tech companies that already exist right now. That's why I'm always saying like why we shouldn't be concerned with the layoffs. It's like if one tech company does a layoff, there are 1,000 brand new tech companies that just popped up this month that are hiring. And so that's why we shouldn't be caught up on the news and what this company's doing, what that company doing. The other thing we should look at is the fact that there are other industries that run parallel to the tech industry. For example, robotics. The robotics industry is booming right now. Ain't no recession, ain't no nothing touching the robotics industry. Y'all see all the robots and stuff being created. So the robotics industry, also the government, you can work in government in tech. The government is always gonna, because taxes, death and taxes are always promised. So the government ain't laying people off. The government is getting money, and the government is in competition with every other government when it comes to technology. So they're always going to be hiring people with different various contracts and roles. So there are other industries that run parallel to the tech industry that are always hiring. Another industry is the AI industry. Again, people think AI, they automatically think, oh, that's the tech industry, right? Not necessarily. It's another industry that runs parallel to the tech industry. ChatGPT, I've mentioned it in the comments here a few times. ChatGPT is blowing up. I just invested in an AI software called Jasper. There's a crap ton of different AI softwares that are popping up. The AI industry is booming right now. So to the question of, is it getting oversaturated? More than likely not, because one, there are so many companies being created, and two, there are a lot of companies that run parallel to the tech industry where you can get jobs in those industries as well. So it's really just about you knowing the opportunities that are out there and you going for them. All right, someone got a question for you, Janae. Can't hear you right now. Barely. Yes,
man, I switched my AirPod and the whole screen froze. All right. Which one is it? Where is it at?
Someone asked, I'm going to answer how I did $400,000 in a year. I'll let y'all know that in a second. I'll probably let her go, and then I'll kind of like break down all that stuff. But the question I see is, they say, is there anything overwhelming about being an SDR, and do you see yourself doing it long term if you make good money?
As far as I could say yes to that, like overwhelming, but like nothing like I would say it's not like overwhelming, like it's not tech specific, if that makes sense. It's like any job that you have where you have to, like, even as when I was doing therapy, it's like if I have 15 different clients, it's like, okay, well, I'm meeting with these clients. I have to do the paperwork and documentation for these clients, and then I might have to call, set up some type of appointment or whatever, speak to the psychologist for, or whatever you have to do. It's like, it's time management, it's organization. You know what I mean? It's like, the only overwhelming part, I think, about the job would be if you, I would say, have poor time management and organization skills, because I feel like I have great time management and organization skills, but I feel like there's days where, or even like a whole week could go by where I didn't prep well. You know what I mean? Like I didn't, maybe I was being a little lazy, or maybe I was like just not taking the time to actually make sure I have everything in order. And so now I'm feeling stressed out and overwhelmed because I didn't actually get myself set up for that week or that day. And so, but as far as like thinking about the actual job, like, is the SDR, BDR role itself overwhelming? No, honestly, I don't see it any different than when I was doing therapy. Like as far as like the actual workload. Um, and then what was the second half of that question? Where is it at? Um,
They wanted to know if you plan on staying,
oh, long
basically
term?
staying in tech sales.
As far
Yeah.
as staying in this exact role, probably not. Because I'm the type of person where like I get excited, like I like to demonstrate stuff. Like I said, I like to talk to people. So yeah, I'm talking to people like on the phone, like yes, I'm doing that. But I also am a teacher. Like I like to teach. I like to, like I said earlier in the live, it's like I like to make things that are complex or intimidating, and I like to simplify it so that the person can have that epiphany moment, like, oh my God, yeah, like that makes sense. I get it. Those moments are rewarding for me. And so if I was to be like an account executive, um, that's what I would probably be shooting for. Would I go higher than that? I don't know, probably not. But doing like the demos and like the presentations is something that I feel like I would really enjoy, which is why I'm enjoying even right now. Like I've been meeting with a lot of people doing like these my little tech and C consultations. You know what I mean? Like being able to help, teach and explain to people about like what, what are the pros and the cons about breaking into tech and what are the steps. Like I just love to do that. Um, so yeah, hopefully I answered that.
That's super good. No, that was really you really went in depth with answering that thoroughly. That's super good. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. I have a few questions people ask. The main one is people wanting to know about how I got to the income level that I'm at now. I don't want to break those details. I do encourage y'all to definitely follow her. Those of y'all who are here from following me, definitely follow Janae and ask her questions. Be mindful if she's not able to get back to y'all, it's because she has a life and she's trying to help people just like I'm trying to help people. But also, be mindful, be patient that it's probably a lot of people messaging her and she has a life and she has a job in tech and other goals and things that she's working on. But y'all definitely tap in with her though. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you so much. Again, congratulations for being in this industry. You're gonna do some dope stuff. You're gonna be a blessing to a lot of people.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm
This
excited
was
for you.
fun.
Okay, cool.
And we will do this soon, I'm sure. All right.
I'm down for
All right,
that.
bye.
Yeah. All right, see you.